I decided to test Claude AI on some physics, and I specifically wanted the model to help me with some simulations of some common topics in physics. I began our conversation by asking about various physics simulations. My aim was to explore how such AI models can be used in education, especially given the new interactive nature that Claude has introduced with the new artifacts feature. The first prompt was on Brownian motion. I first inquired about a simulation of Brownian motion. In response, it created a React component that visualized the random walk of a particle, representing the erratic motion of particles suspended in a fluid. The simulation allowed me to start and stop the motion, giving me control over the visualization. I must admit that the control buttons do not work all the time, and I think this is one major drawback with the new interactive window on Claude. But as you can see from the experiment, the model did demonstrate the motion of a particle, though not in the best way possible. Maybe my prompting was at fault here. The second concept that I tested it on was fluid flow. It developed a more complex simulation using a particle system to represent fluid motion. This simulation included features like wind force and gravity, allowing you to see how multiple particles move in a fluid-like manner. You could adjust parameters like wind strength and particle count to observe different behaviors. But at this, it did not perform as well as I expected. The third test was on wave simulation. It created an interactive wave simulation that demonstrated a basic sinusoidal wave pattern. I could adjust the amplitude, frequency, and speed of the wave, allowing me to explore how these parameters affect wave behavior. This simulation provided a visual representation of concepts fundamental to many types of waves in nature. On waves, it performed extremely well, and as you can see on the right side window, I was able to play with the controls, adjusting all the properties of a wave and seeing how it affects other properties. This is a good visual demonstration that would be helpful for learners. Wish we had this during my school days. I then remembered Hooke's law, and I asked to see Hooke's law in action. It developed a simulation showing a spring with an attached mass. You can interact with the simulation by dragging the mass and observing how it oscillates according to Hooke's law. The simulation also allows you to adjust the spring constant and mass, demonstrating how these factors influence the oscillation. It did a good job, and a learner would be able to visualize the concept better and understand the principles behind the topic of study. As you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, you can play with the controls and see what changes occur to the spring following Hooke's law. This would be a good way of learning, especially for learners who are highly aided by visual representations of a concept. It is easier to understand a concept when you see it in action compared to glaring at a boring physics textbook. And I didn't say physics was boring, just the textbooks. Finally, I requested a demonstration of how aerodynamics works on a tennis ball and an aircraft. It initially created a static simulation showing airflow, lift, and drag for both objects. When I asked it to make it dynamic, it enhanced the simulation to show the objects moving through the air, affected by aerodynamic forces in real time. This final simulation tied together many of the concepts from earlier simulations, showing how forces affect motion over time. The graphics were poor here, to be honest, and I think there is room for improvement. From the visuals generated, there was little that someone would learn. The controls provided worked well, but the graphics were abysmal. There is room for improvement both from the model as well as the prompts provided to the model. From the above topics that I prompted it on, I think it is a leap forward, especially when it comes to creating visualizations that can help someone understand a concept better. A learner or even a researcher can use the visualization tools to better understand new concepts. I think NVIDIA will do a better job on simulation, and we can only wait to see what they end up coming up with. Imagine if you had this during your school days. Would it help you understand the concepts better? I would like to know your opinion in the comments below. Even for those currently using such AI tools in your studies, let us know if they are of any help. From these examples, which I tested in a hurry, we can see that there is value in such a use case. I know most institutions are thinking of how they can use AI in the education process, or else they will be disrupted by those who do use them. Education is a strong use case for most AI companies to consider if they plan on growing their revenues. In any case, these simple examples show that these AI models are helpful and are now generating economic impact. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. If you like topics on artificial intelligence, consider liking this video and subscribe to the channel so that you can get more of such videos.